Hello there, Tando Book Club lovers. This season, we're putting the books written by your favorite African female authors center stage. And joining me in the studio as co-host to discuss these books is the fabulous and amazing book reviewer, Sarah Nyengerai. As is our custom, we always begin every episode with a quote from a famous African that we believe captures the spirit and message of the book we'll be discussing. Naturally, we've chosen a book from today's episode. Today's quote is, "In the mirror, I watched the fine-toothed comb slip effortlessly through my silky, soft, and straight black queen hair. I was not bothered by the tenderness of my scalp that sent quivers down my neck as the teeth of the comb slid past it, nor was I alarmed at the white of my roots that had come to the surface. No, I was just delighted to be beautiful again." Coconut by Kopano Matlwa. Sarah, tell us a little bit about this book, why it was so popular, and the author behind it.
Thank you, Selina. South African author and Dr. Kopano Matlwa has written 2 novels. Coconut, her debut novel, deals with issues of colonialism, race, and class. The novel won the European Literary Union Award in 2006 and the Wole Soyinka Prize for Literature in Africa in 2010. So Matlwa is also the author of Spilt Milk, which follows the born-free generation of South Africans or those who came after apartheid. So Matlwa, who finished Coconut while she was working towards her medical degree, has frequently given interviews on her own experience, coming of age under President Nelson Mandela, and seeing both hope and the possibility for further corruption in her government. Now, this book was widely popular among millennials when it was written because it deals with identity. The dance or the struggle with accepting westernization and still acknowledging your own culture, your own traditions, and how whiteness is linked to being progressive or opens more doors, and being traditional or your culture is seen as being backward. So she brought that to light, and a lot of millennials, especially after South African independence, 1994, it was a hit.
Definitely. I can understand why. I think Coconut is definitely a youth novel, an urban youth novel set in Johannesburg. It's got 2 parts to its structure. The first part is narrated by Ophilwe, who is the daughter of a nouveau riche couple that live in the suburbs, and the second part narrated by a young girl called Fikile, who's affectionately known as Fix, who lives in the township. And they converge in this restaurant called Silver Spoon, which is where Ophilwe's family will always go for brunch or breakfast after church on a Sunday. And so it's quite interesting how they observe each other, because they do appear in each other's narrations of, a Sunday morning at Silver Spoon. But the novel unpacks in that present day narration flashbacks and situations about their background and how they're dealing with this thing called Who Am I at the age of 18. So I find that very, very interesting. It's set, like I said, in Johannesburg, but we've got the township and the city. Fikilwe does a lot to help us see what it takes to traverse or get to the other side of the tracks. And it's very much a slice of life sort of read, which I think the author cops to at the end of the book in her little epilogue piece. But we're running out of time there. We have come to the end of the segment, but we will be tuning right back, and we'll be getting stuck into the themes, the characters, and the big idea behind Coconut. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching the Tando Book Club, and we're talking Coconut. And I've got Sarah Nyengerai in the studio with me. And this is usually the part of the conversation where we talk about characters. Now, in this book, we've got a cast of characters that come with Ofilwe and a cast of characters that come with Fix. Ofilwe has her mom, whom she affectionately calls Mama and Daddy, and refers to in the book. There's her grandma Tlo and Coco. Coco is her mother's mother. Grandma Tlo is her father's mother. Then she's got her brother Tsefo, who's quite an angst-filled youth in the story. And then on the other side, we've got Fix and her uncle, and her grandmother as well. And then her boss, Miss Becky, and Miss Becky's daughter, Caroline, and her co-worker, Ayanda. So there are two casts to this story. And definitely, I think the role of your family structure comes through very strongly in this. In both casts, who would you say is your likable character or your most interesting character?
I like the two girls because their life stories resonate with South Africa being a new nation and the struggles that the youth have with identity. Now, remember, the label coconut speaks to, it's given to someone who's considered a sellout. And we're also coming from a country in which the sellout tag was had lots of meaning to it. You were selling out to apartheid. So you see this in Ofilwe's life, acceptance of, is this who I am? And how did I come to be this way? And is this okay? Is this something that I should be proud of? Is it something that I should be embarrassed? And you also see it in Fix as well, where she sees the suburbia and the so-called black but are white inside, the doors it opens, and that's her dream. So it's almost like she's looking at a life that she wants to live, that she believes if she gets out of this place, the township, her life becomes better. So it's a lot of nuances speak to white is right, be embarrassed with your color. So there's colorism there as well. Be embarrassed with vernacular. You should sound a certain way. You should behave a certain way. And your life will move forward. So I liked the comparison of the two. And then, of course, Fix gets to a stage where she embraces who she is. And she basically says, this ends now. This is who I am. I'm not going to apologize. So I liked, I think we see ourselves as teenagers in the two girls.
Definitely. I think what was so masterfully shown in the telling of the story is the angst, the multitude of emotions that are happening all at the same time, the confusion that is very much associated with adolescence, and very much the questioning. So when I look at Fifi, as she's known, or Ofilwe, like a lot of her reminiscing is all jumbled up. It's not a chronological flashback, as she's reflecting on her relationship with identity and owning what it is to be Black. Fix, on the other hand, is, I think, a more sympathetic character because she definitely, I think, demonstrates more agency between the two. She goes out, she gets the job. She puts the boundary between her and uncle and basically almost saves herself in a very toxic situation. And she goes after what she wants. Whereas Ofilwe is almost disempowered by the trappings of, playing to this role of being this nouveau riche, first generation child. So she's more at war with that. So I think it was very, if it read like a teenager's journal from that perspective and was very authentic in that way. What was a big key life lesson for you?
It reminded me that identity in so many ways, with where we are now with regards to identity, appears to be fluid. You decide for yourself who you are, how you show up in the world. And if your background has influenced who you are today, that's not something to be ashamed of. You shouldn't be embarrassed. You shouldn't feel like maybe I should do this so that I'm less of a coconut, or whatever label you are given. I think who you are is who you are. And just live it, and you will find your people, you will meet your people. With identity being a big question now, I think I learned that from the book, that it is what it is. Ophelia's background is not her fault. Fix's background is not her fault. Our backgrounds are never our fault.
Very profound. Thank you, Sarah. Well, we'll be taking a short break for now, but we'll be back in just a few moments to do what we love to do here on the Book Club, which is a reading from the book. You don't want to miss this. Welcome back. You're watching the Tando Book Club and we're talking coconut. So usually in this segment, we like to do a reading, but before we get there, I'd like to chat to you quickly about what you think is a unique strength of this book.
I think the contrast between people of different backgrounds and the struggles they have internally, and their fight to make progress, their fight to fit in, which is what was happening after South Africa's independence. Everybody's trying to fit in as much as it's a rainbow nation, you had to fight for your space. And where am I going? What does this mean now that we're independent? And how do I fit in? Identity, like what is identity? So you can understand South Africa 1994 from a young person's perspective, both from the township and both from an affluent background. So I liked that about the book.
I think that was definitely a key strength of the book. So, I mean, this is not a young adult novel. This is not, speaking to, I think, a different generation. I think this is definitely very much a youth novel. What I particularly thought was a unique strength of the book is the lyricism of the prose. There are so many parts of this book where if you just pulled out that paragraph, it would be a perfect piece of writing, very emotive, things that you can really, really relate to. And this is often, I think, more so in the book when we are engaging with the inner monologue of the characters, yeah. So that is really, really powerful for me. At times you get the sense that somebody it's almost like she took it from her journal and she put it in the book. But then there are these moments where she makes this point, and the impact of the point is so beautifully delivered because of how she puts it together. I wish she would have done more to bring those together to make it a whole that then stands apart like that. But definitely, I think that what I can say is that her writing is very emotive, very relatable, and there is a lyricism to her prose that is actually very beautiful and poetically delivered. And I really appreciated that because I did have moments in the book where I was like, oh, that piece right there, very powerfully delivered. Yeah. So as we are talking about that, what other better thing can we do than have a reading from the book? What have you chosen for us today?
Okay, I've chosen a piece from Fix when she comes to just embrace who she is. And this is who I am moment, which I think happens with adolescence and youth as you come into your own. Okay. I have begun to believe that there has been a change in me. I'm now more confident in everything I do, and I'm no longer uncertain of my capabilities. Nothing intimidates me. I've even started speaking in the English language, even when I do not need to. I'm no longer concerned with what I sound like because I've come to believe that I sound like any other English-speaking person. I use words like facetious and filial in everyday speech and speak English boldly, without hesitation. Not like Uncle, who spews out fragments of Shakespeare that make little sense to him or anyone else, but with true insight and understanding. There is this new drive that has taken charge of me. It urges me to take command and create my own destiny. I'm certain of where I'm going and know exactly what it is I want out of life. I've worked hard to be where I am, and I have little tolerance for those who get in my way.
And a beautifully chosen piece there, Sarah. Definitely highlighting, I think, some of the things that we shared about Fix, that she is a strong character and she does have agency and sort of like a bit more of a take charge approach. So definitely, I think something that sums up the power of this book, Who Am I? And that the power to be that is actually in your hands. It's not something that's external. So thank you so much, Sarah, for that reading.
You're welcome.
Well, we've come to the end of another great edition of the Book Club, and we've been talking coconut. See you again next week, same time, as we celebrate yet another fabulous African female author. Until then, stay safe, stay strong, and stay true. And if you can, do it with a glass of wine. Goodbye.
And then my life mantra has always just been to be kind, be true, and love with everything you have, as if you're about to lose it. And I say that because you can always learn a lot about yourself by allowing yourself to love, even if it hurts. What is currently on my mind is the essence of time, the importance of time, what we do with our time, and how we value time. Time can be money, time can be love, time can be patience, time can be anything, to be honest, and it's all sort of relative. But valuing what you do with your time and how you spend that time on things that matter most to you, things that uplift you mentally and emotionally, then that would be something that you would need to focus on. Surrounding yourself with the people that actually matter, with people who uplift you, people that support you, and people that align according to your vision. We have all spent time with certain people during lockdown, and I think a lot of people have been able to spend time thinking about what matters and what doesn't. Sort of once you have available or disposable time, use it wisely on things that bring you joy, things that bring you closer to the ones that you love, and things that bring you closer to your goals. My message for the continent is to be nothing but yourself. Don't try and copy others. Be you and tell yourself how great you are every single day. Radiate goodness, radiate positivity, radiate love and joy, and all of those things will be returned to you if your heart is true.
Hi, my name is Ursula Mayinga and I am from a small town south of Johannesburg called Ennerdale. I am a makeup artist by profession, even though there are a few things that I'm also doing on the side. I'm doing my 3rd year in somatology this year. I'm fashion designing, modeling. I'm trying to get into acting as well. I love makeup artistry because I get to meet a whole lot of different people from different backgrounds, with different stories, and I love listening to people's stories. I just find them so inspiring. And also I love that smile that I get from my clients right after I give them the mirror when I'm done doing their makeup. Weighing heavy on my mind, I would say, is gender-based violence. I just feel like there's so much more that can be done, especially when it comes to speaking up, because I feel like in almost every household there's someone who is experiencing it, and I find that there's power in the voice. So with that being said, I would actually like to start a movement of my own in regards to that. My life mantra, that would be staying close to your elders. They know the way better than you know the way. So if you have any grandparents or great-great-grandparents still around, I would say stick close to them, stay under their wings. You will learn a whole lot from them. My message to the continent, I would say we need to love one another a little bit more and try to be more patient with one another, because in that way we're making the world a better place, because we don't know what someone is going through. And also, first impressions shouldn't always last, because you don't know what someone is going through on the day that you are meeting them. So hence I'm saying we need to be more patient with one another, give one another more second chances rather than the real 1 second chance.